Hello and welcome to this session of videos about FSMail. This particular video is for people who have PST files in Outlook. There's a couple of things that need to be looked at here. The first is to look at a PST file and find out how big the file is and make decisions about whether or not you want to migrate that PST file to FSMail. Then we're going to look at the process that you need to go through if you don't move your PST files to FSMail. Now, to be able to make this work, what you really need to do is configure Outlook so that it accesses FSMail instead of Exchange, still having the PST files available to you, and so that you can then move it, and we'll take you through all of those options. We're going to start right over here. You'll notice the mailbox here. That's an Exchange mailbox. This actually should look pretty much the way yours does. You'll see here that I actually have 5 PST files currently open. I've got Archive 2009-10, Bradley 2005. I've got 2 Bradley mail accounts, and then I've got a personal PST file down here as well. If you select one of these, any one of these, and then right-click, you'll be given an option where at the bottom it says Properties for, and in this case it's Properties for Bradley 2005. And down at the bottom, or near the bottom of that, there's a little button for folder size, and that's what we'd like to know. This actually tells you the names of all of the individual folders and the amount of space that they require. This number you'll see is 759,417. That's K, or 1,000 bytes. This actually represents 759 megabytes of storage. That's not terribly large. Let's look at another one real quick here. Let's look at this one down here. This one's a little larger, as I recall. Yeah, this is 3,400,000. So, okay, so that would be about 3.4 gigabytes of storage in this one. Now, actually, if you look at each of your PST files and the total is significantly under 25 gig, then conceivably you could move them up. But our recommendation is that you stop to think and make decisions about, do you need this information? In my case, I made the decision to move a few folders out of one of these because I was still actively working on them, and the rest of them I'm just leaving on my desktop, and I can get to them whenever I want to. And it's that get to it whenever I want to that I want to take you through right now. We're going to start out here by actually going to Tools and dropping down to Account Settings. You'll see there's the Exchange account that's already configured. This should look very much like yours right now. And then we're going to add new. We're going to create a new account. We're going to create an IMAP account, so that screen is okay. I'm going to enter my name here. I'm going to enter my email address. That's my FSMail email address. I'm not going to bother with the password at this time because I need to manually configure things anyway, and it's going to ask me again. This is going to be an internet email account, so this screen is fine. However, you see my name is here, my email address is here. I am going to change this to IMAP. I want this to be an IMAP account. And the incoming mail server is imap.gmail.com. And the outgoing mail server is smtp.gmail.com. bunat@gmail.com. My username is my complete email address, so bunatid@fsmail.bradley.edu, and then enter my current password. And click on Remember Password, make sure that that's set, and now I'm going to go to More Settings. Now there are several things that you can enter here. You could enter Bradley University in the organization. I could, for example, enter crook@bradley.edu as my reply to address rather than the full one. I'm going to go to outgoing server. I need to check on the fact that my outgoing server requires authentication. And then under advanced, I need to change these port numbers. The port number for the incoming mail server is 993. The type of encryption we use is TLS. That's 993 and TLS. You actually need to set the encryption type first. The encryption type for, and I did it wrong, for the outgoing server is TLS, for the incoming service is SSL, and then the outgoing port number is 587. So this is the way that needs to look now. 993 SSL, 587 TLS. We really don't care much about the rest of this. So I'm going to say OK. Now I'm going to test the account settings, and this will make sure that I didn't typo anything and that everything is right. And it appears to be. Everything seems to have worked fine, so we say OK to that. We'll go to Next and then Finish. And we now have an FSMail account configured. I'm going to change that so that it is the default. And now we're actually done with the Exchange server. We need to take this out. It doesn't have to be taken out today, but we need to take this out before the Exchange server goes away. That way you won't have problems with it trying to connect to a machine that's no longer there. So we're just going to remove that. Yes, we know we're okay. And close out, and now we're done and ready to go. You'll notice over here that I now have my FSMail account, and I have a folder here for every label that I have in FSMail. I want to start out by going to the inbox and right-clicking on the inbox and adding it to my favorites. That way it appears up here, and I don't actually have to have it or have to worry about it being down here at all. There are some issues with IMAP configurations, and one of them is that whenever you synchronize, whenever you connect to an IMAP server, it's going to try to synchronize the folders, the local folders that you have on your desktop here, with the folders or the labels, in our case, on the server. And that can be very, very time consuming, particularly if there are several gigs of storage up there. We're going to set this up so that that doesn't happen. We're going to go to Tools, down here to Options. We're going to select Mail Setup. First thing I'm going to look at is this little box here on Send and Receive. I want to make sure that it's selected so that if I'm working here and I send a message, that it gets sent immediately. I'm going to look at the other options in here, and I'm going to, selecting this one, I'm going to edit these. Most of these are okay. However, what this says right here is receiving mail items, you want to download headers for subscribed folders. Well, that would be better than the second option, which would be to download the entire item. But what we're going to do is we're going to select this third option, which is use the custom behavior defined below. And by that, what we're going to do is we're only going to synchronize the inbox. We don't want to synchronize any of the rest of this mail. Okay? So we're going to say OK to that. We're going to close that, say OK. And now we're actually ready. We're in pretty good shape right now. I want to show you what happens now when I click on Send and Receive. And I'll tell you, this could be very time-consuming if we hadn't made the change that we just made. You see now that it runs through very quickly, because actually the only thing it's doing is just verifying that the inbox is exactly the way it was meant to be. I'm going to expand now one of these PST files. I'm going to select this Bradley Mail item. And I'm going to look down here at, let's look at this Kate folder. Let's actually look at what's in here. There are a number of email items in here, and these only exist. Now, these only exist in this PST file. But I have one particular item, or I could have a group of them. I could, for example, select a group of these like so. And then I'm going to right-click, and I'm just going to drag those up to this inbox. This is the inbox on FSMail. I'm moving all of these emails to that inbox. I'm actually copying them up there. Now we're going to look in that inbox on FSMail, and you'll see that those are all there. So when you go now to your web interface to FSMail, those will be in the inbox there, and you can do that with them as you will. So in the process here, what we've shown you is we've shown you how to check the size of PST files so that you can make decisions about whether or not you need to move them or whether you can keep them on Outlook. We've shown you how to change the configuration of Outlook so that it accesses FSMail so that you can continue to have your PST files open in Outlook, and if in fact you need to copy some to FSMail for processing, it's a fairly easy thing to do. Thank you for tuning in to this. If you have further questions, don't hesitate to call the help desk. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.